and welcome to this edition of the Angela Ray Show. I hope that you all have had a great day. I know I have had a really busy day, so busy that I had canned soup for lunch. And if you know me, especially if you follow me on my Instagram, you know I'm always in the kitchen, but today was not one of those days. For all of you who will be catching the broadcast on the replay, thank you so much for hanging out with the Angela Ray Show. For those of you who will be watching live, hey, 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 you know what to do. Go ahead and slide into those comments. Let me know what you had for lunch today, because I imagine that you had a much better lunch slash dinner, because I didn't even end up cooking dinner. I had some potato chips. Yeah, I know, just not good. We're going to get back on it tomorrow. But that was my dinner tonight. This was my meatless day. Usually on Mondays, I do a meatless Mondays, just, to give myself a break from consuming so much meat. And I forgot yesterday. Before I knew it, I'd already had spaghetti. I had pan seared some salmon. I was like, oh, it's meatless Monday. Okay, we're going to do meatless Tuesday. That's what we're going to do. So tonight we're continuing with my series on leading my best life. This is actually part 2. We started it on last week and we are carrying over to this week, all about presenting so many people who are definitely leaders in ways that we don't traditionally think of leadership. And that coincides with my book. I have a book called Megastar Student Leadership, and we are making that launch of Megastar Leadership over onto Amazon. So to celebrate, I just wanted to highlight some leaders who are doing some amazing things in a variety of fields. As always, we get the party started with our Ray of Motivation moment for the evening. And for tonight's Ray of Motivation moment, I just want to remind you that sometimes things pop up in your life as problems, but if you turn them around to opportunities, you will see them for what they truly are. There are so many seemingly problems that we have on a day-to-day basis. Everything from what are we going to have for lunch when we don't have enough time? Yeah, that was my thing today. But seriously, there are oftentimes challenges, speed bumps, detours that come into our life that at times we may view as a problem, but oftentimes it is an opportunity for us to do something different, an opportunity perhaps for us to grow, to change, to transform, and even to blossom. There are always going to be opportunities, definitely. There are always going to be opportunities, but will you see them as opportunities or will you see them as problems? And that is today's Ray of Motivation moment for this Tuesday edition of the Angela Ray Show. Well, I'm very excited to welcome my guest onto our having a little conversation before we went live on the last time we actually had an opportunity to do something together. Marcus Anderson, he is one of the premier saxophonists in the world. He's not only a sought after solo artist, but he also has 8 albums to date. He accompanies other great artists. He's been on stage with some of the greats, CeeLo Green, Judith Hill, and he's also known as being that featured saxophonist with the late Prince and the new Power generation. He has a wealth of work, and in addition to his music career, he also is an entrepreneur and has a coffee shop located in Rocky Mount, North Carolina. Now, if you haven't heard of Rocky Mount, anytime you're up and down I-95 going north or south, if you're in North Carolina, you're going to pass right through Rocky Mount. And Rocky Mount is where Terrence J is from. He's one of my favorite hosts. So please help me welcome Marcus Anderson. Marcus, thank you so much for being on the show tonight.
Thank you for having me, Angela. We finally worked it out and
Yeah,
got me
I
on
know.
here.
Yeah, I've been trying to connect for a minute, but yeah, you're busy, you're touring, you're doing virtual shows. I was looking at your Instagram and I saw some of my people that you've been working with, just doing a number of things during what is a very different time in our
Yeah.
country.
Yeah. Like it's interesting now, and it's an ongoing conversation that I think musicians have with one another. Like, when are we going to get back to touring? When are we going to get back to touring? And I've been doing a couple of live performances, just investing a lot of time and money into learning how to put on like the most cost-effective production, but keep the quality super good as where you may feel like you're at the live show. And I think I kind of got it figured out now, because I don't see us going back to work touring no time soon. Oh, it's not happening for 2020. I know that for sure.
Oh yeah.
2021 it's a coin toss. It may not happen, but until then, I'm just going to keep moving, and I'm actually kind of enjoying this time home. I'm getting to be a little bit more grounded and digging deeper spiritually and within myself on, some things I just want to work on and become better. I feel like I've had all these years to perfect my career and maybe my craft, that now I get to perfect, myself, so that's kind of more of the focal point right now, just being home, being a consistent dad, working on, the stuff at my coffee shop, and, really just being here, because traveling and touring keeps you away from home a lot.
Yeah.
And not to say that I haven't been consistent before with these other things, but I think just, being home now kind of gets me to slow down a little bit and really look at what's important and prioritize and focus on like more family stuff. So it's kind of exciting.
Well, that is awesome. So tell me a little bit about this coffee shop that you have in Rocky Mount, because you mentioned a jerk chicken wrap, and I was like, ooh, that is right up my alley. So talk about this coffee shop that you have.
Yeah, so Trax Coffee Bar is the name of the shop that I have in Rocky Mount, and it's TRAX. And with that, I purchased it with my manager, Alan Willis, back in December. We took over in January 2020. Then COVID hit. But prior to that, I've been in the coffee business for about 5 years. I came up with the idea of And Coffee. It's the first 3 letters of my last name. And I combined that with an album entitled And Coffee. And that album went to Billboard. And we got a #1 for 2 weeks with that one. So very proud and excited about that. But I just enjoy coffee. And my dad has always told me, if you like something and you love it, might as well see if you can make some money from it too. And he said, focus on some of the things that people like in the world, which is, real estate, weddings, music, coffee, anything that people can drink and eat. And coffee just became just a love for me, and a love out to get through these Prince tours, because we had long rehearsals and long shows, and drinking energy drinks was not working, so that was kind of like my start into that. And then I finally got to a point where I could get a coffee shop, which is it's downtown Rocky Mount, 301 South Church Street. And we serve, chicken wraps now, the jerk chicken wraps. I had 2 today, and it was amazing. I loved it. I'm going to probably have 3 more tomorrow, because I like to eat. And I started back working out, so now I'm hungry. I got to get this COVID-15 off me. But
right.
If anybody's ever in the Rocky Mount area, please come out to Trax Coffee Bar and try some coffee, ice cream, milkshakes, all that stuff. We got it for you.
Awesome. So aside from, balancing this new venture and entrepreneurship that started at the beginning of 2020, how else have you spent the time that most of us were at home? Some of us are still at home, but when the majority of the country was kind of at home.
Well, I'll tell you this, the first 2 weeks, and I remember I flew to Miami. I was getting ready to do this cruise. We were going to sail for a week in the Caribbean, and not 10 minutes after checking in my hotel room, we got the call to say, hey, we're going back home. And I was like, okay, wow. And I don't want to say panic or fear set over my body, but it was there for maybe like a week or maybe a couple of days. And then after that, I just slept. I really slept for like 2 weeks. I didn't do much of anything. I laid on the couch, and I remember I stayed in one position and I just slept, and I just got comfortable. And I normally don't sleep good on the couch. And I said, you know what? This is kind of a blessing, because I prayed to God for several things within the year. And one of those things was like, Lord, I really don't want to go on the road right now. Like, I'm tired. I want to be able to stay home. I want to work on my relationship. I want to work on my relationships with my daughters. I want to spend more family time. I want to be at my coffee shop. I want to build a foundation at home. And shoot, freaking COVID hit. And here we are. So that's that's kind of like how it started. And like right now, I'm in a rhythm of like still trying to find a balance. You know, I have certain days I may get a little like sad or depressed, or it may be hard to focus. But then I remember like I got all this free time to just work on myself and other projects and work on more music. So yeah.
I imagine it is very different when you are used to being on cruises and
Yeah.
being on tour, and even the relationships that you have with your fellow musicians, that I imagine you don't talk to them as much as you used to.
Some of them no, I mean, then others I talk to them and see them more, because a lot of us that live in the area, some of the
Hmm.
guys that I was going to be touring with, they live, 20 minutes from me. So we'll get to see each other and we'll get to hang out. They'll come to the coffee shop, or we'll try to, just have like a quick hang, which has been great because as a tour musician, you don't get to slow down. You
Hmm.
don't realize how busy you are until you're not busy. So you learn about things like, do I really need to do this in life? Do I need to do this to survive? And you start finding now, I think we start trying to find other creative ways to, I think, live life, and it's kind of been refreshing for a lot of us. And I remember being at my buddy's house, just kind of sit back, kicking our feet up. It's like, man, I remember when we was touring, and we sound like old men, and like I'm 35, about to be 36 in a couple of months. And we talking about, man, I remember when, we was touring, we was going to be on the road. Now we home and we just enjoying our time and our space, and, and just spending time with friends like that. Those are kind of like the things that we value now more so than doing shows and money. So I don't know, man, it's just been a very interesting time. I know I'm rambling on and on, but I'm just thinking about everything that's been happening the past
Hmm.
4 months, of just being home. And, it's a bittersweet thing, but I think it's definitely needed. And it was definitely needed on our end.
So, how did you get started playing the saxophone?
I got started playing the saxophone through my dad. Um, I'm the youngest of seven. I got a twin brother that sings. I got two older twin brothers and three sisters. The girls are the oldest, but everybody did something musical. And I remember when I was younger, my dad always told me that, well, first of all, he started sitting me down in front of his bed and say, listen to this music, which was instrumental music. I didn't know what that was back then. So I just knew it was music without words. And then he just kind of got me interested into the saxophone, and I was just fascinated. And he always told me, you're going to play the saxophone. You're going to be great. You're going to travel the world. And then that was it. All I understood and knew was that I was just going to be, great and be a success at what I do. I didn't know it was going to happen at such a young age, with the amount of success and the diversity that I had. But it was my dad that got me into it. After that, I played in middle school. Then I played it, I played in church. We used to jam after school. I wasn't good at basketball, but I was good at golf and baseball. But I couldn't really, stay with baseball because I had broken my arm. But the way it was set up, it's like I could still put my hand down and play the saxophone. So it was like destined for me to play. I couldn't be the pitcher that I wanted to be.
Hmm.
So played in high school, made all state, got a scholarship to North Carolina Central, and still playing the saxophone, ever since then, and I got to be number one in the nation 3 years in a row with the HBCU Jazz Ensemble. It's the National Jazz Band. And everything else just led from that. But it all started from my dad just telling me that I was going to play the saxophone and be great. And my mom being such a great support of just taking me to all these different concerts and shows and weddings that I get paid $25 for.
Humble beginnings.
Yeah, I mean, it's still a humble presence. There's still moments that you get humbled, and then because you have to remember a lot of things as an artist and a musician. I never stick with the term, or I never feel the term that I've arrived or made it.
Hmm.
I don't know if that'll ever settle or sit in me, only because I never feel like I've made it. I feel like, all right, there's another space that I'm in, or I feel like I may have done enough musically or with career, and then I start focus on maybe like mentorship. And I know I'm just 35, but I've lived, a lot of life. I've been touring and playing for like 20 years now. So, I feel like an old man.
Well, let me ask you this. You mentioned that you played at North Carolina Central, and of course,
Yeah.
that is an award-winning, yeah, Eagle Pride. That is an
Amplified.
award-winning jazz program. So,
Hmm.
what were some of the great programs that you were able to participate while at Central? Because I do believe I saw one, I don't know what year, but one group of students with a jazz ensemble that got to play for President Clinton.
Yeah, that was before me. I didn't get to do that. Uh, I got to play for former President Obama, Barack Obama. That was when I was with Prince, though. But while I was at Central, uh, Dr. Wiggins and I got to be in the HBCU Jazz Ensemble. Played there. We did traveling. We went to California, went to New York. I think we went to New York twice. That was really fun. We got to travel within the state and play. While I was at Central, I was a part of a dance troupe called the Naughty Boys, and because
Okay.
I was a choreographer growing up in school. In middle school, a little bit dibble dabble. High school, I started choreographing dances, and then in college, I was kind of doing the same thing. And then I started implementing that into my shows, and became like one of the first jazz artists, if not the first, to like really have background dancers and really do choreography. And so outside of the jazz ensemble and the dance troupe, the Naughty Boys, I really didn't do like a whole lot because I was playing, at like coronations and stuff. I got played in like a lot of the basketball games, and then I would go work on the weekends and do shows, go to class, go do shows, go out of town, come home tired, and try to get the lesson done.
I think the first time that I saw you perform was with Malcolm Jamal Warner at the
Mm-hmm.
National Black Theater Festival.
Yep.
So how often do you get to, and I can't remember, I don't remember if he was just doing, I know that he plays guitar. I don't know if it's
Mm-hmm.
the bass,
Yeah, he
but
plays
he
bass.
also does poetry. So how
Yeah.
often do you get to do anything with like spoken word artists?
I don't get to do too much, and it's something I definitely want to kind of develop a little bit more because as I grow older, I kind of want to dial my music back on how I'm writing and not make it so exciting and kind of chill it out a little bit. I'm starting that process right now, but I don't really get to work with a lot of spoken word artists. I did before when I started off, and then the music just kind of went somewhere else. But I would love to do more of that now. I would love to kind of just play music and focus on the music again and not so much the dramatics of the show.
Gotcha. So what is your latest project?
My latest project right now is Hero. It's an album that I wrote to go with my comic book and my cartoon that I wrote. I wrote a comic book called The Creatives, and I
Mhm.
put out a motion graphic animation. And I'm starting to dip and dabble into like the animation world of like Hero because I've always like cartoons, and I've always like being a musician hero. I always felt like
Mhm.
musicians are heroes and that music saves the day and music saves people. So I put out this album called Hero, and we have a single that was on radio. We went to number 5 on Billboard. We're getting ready to release the second single entitled A Brighter Smile. And hopefully we'll get a number 1 with that. But Hero's been doing amazing. Even though we're not touring, I've still been doing great record numbers and sales as far as music with the Hero album. It's my 13th album, believe it or not. I've been able to release 13 albums to date. So
Wow, you've been busy in
yeah,
your 35 years.
yeah, I have. I think I'm like, man, I did 13. So I went back and tried to count. I was like, yeah, like what year was this? I guess I did do that. So when I get bored and I get lonely, I just write music and I put it out. Now I'm starting to write lyrics and I'm starting to be creative in other ways. Not so much in the musical aspect, but like in the entrepreneurial aspect, because having a coffee shop and then doing a comic book and having the animation is something that is going to be and create residual income. So I'm trying to build wealth and legacy, not just for me, but for my daughters. Everything that I'm doing right now, I'm working hard. It's like, man, he's doing this all over the place. It's like, yeah, I'm setting this up for them.
Mhm.
And I had a conversation with my oldest daughter, like right before she went to go back to school, and we were talking about something, and I picked up a bag of coffee. I said, "Do you see this? Do you know what this is?" And she was like, "Coffee." And I was like, "Yeah, but do you not understand the power in this and like in the name and what this does?" I was like, "Do you understand this is yours? Like this isn't mine. Like everything that I'm doing, do you not understand? I'm not going to be here forever. When I'm dead and gone, this is going to be to you and your sister. It may not look like much right now, but everything that I have, the coffee shop, the music, all this stuff, my catalog, all this is yours. Like, it's not mine. So I was trying to get her to think a little bit deeper than like, dad is working a lot and all of this. And like, this has been the first time that I've been home this long. And for us to really have these types of conversations, because she's 12, she's smart, she's brilliant. You know, both of my daughters are. So to have these conversations with her first, I think is necessary because she's the oldest. And, you know, I think it's good to help our kids understand what legacy is. I assume she knew what the word meant. And when I explained it to her and what my legacy and our legacy and what it means to be an Anderson, you know, because there's power in names. And I find that our name Anderson's, our pedigree is very strong and we have a very successful family. So I was trying to get her to understand that, like, you know, the understanding the power of your name and your ancestry. We even did a thing where I did my African ancestry, and I traced all the way back to Africa of my people, where we come from on my mom and my dad's side. You know, we have roots in Guinea-Bissau, you know, on my mom's side, and the Mbutu people in Angola for my dad's side, and Guinea-Bissau on my mom's side. So it was really cool to like share that with them and to kind of build, you know, like what legacy is and what, you know, what I'm trying to leave for them. So sorry, I went on a rant, you know.
You're passionate about your daughters. That is definitely evident. You have a question from one of our viewers. Edwin has a question for you about Prince.
Yeah, I did. I played with Prince 2012 to 2016. And I will say it was the most, it taught me a lot about not just being a musician, but about being a brand. If you looked at Prince and you understand and you found, you know, study his story and his life, Prince lost his name at one point and Prince had to become a symbol. And the label thought they had him, like, oh, we're going to take your name. It's like, okay, you're going to take my name. I'm going to create a symbol. What's stronger than your name? A freaking symbol that people know, you know, it may not be the name Batman, but you see the symbol, you know what it is. And Superman, you see that symbol, you know, is that. And, you know, Prince created a symbol that made him strong. So within that, Prince, you know, gave us a lot of tools and gave me a lot of tools and opportunities to just build your brand and not focus on just being a musician, but being, you know, an artistpreneur, you know, which is the artist entrepreneur in my book.
Definitely. So you've toured with Prince, you've toured with a number of people. What is one of your most memorable tour stops?
Curacao.
Okay, where is that?
That was that's in the Caribbean, you know. So you have like Aruba, you have Barbados, and you got Curacao. I think they call it the ABC. I think that meant like that really stayed with me, and I become like very focused on that trip because, you know, we were in New York, we were in like dead of winter, and then we had a show that we had to go do in Curacao. And we were there for a week. And it was the first time I'd actually had a break where I didn't have to worry about anything. We flew there on a Tuesday. The show was on Saturday and I left on Monday. So like I had a chance to just go on the beach, relax, order food, go snorkeling, sleep, you know, eat, go to bed. It's just, I got to relax. And that just stayed with me. And then we played a banging show like with Prince. It was amazing. And we got paid a lot of money. So there were so many pros. There's so many pros about that trip. I got it all wrapped and rolled up into one. So, you know, that and then actually going to Greece, that was pretty cool too. Yeah.
And so you've been doing some virtual concerts now. Talk a little bit about what you're doing with that and some of the artists that you've showcased. Speaking of which, I think you showcased Darnell showcased Taylor on one of those.
Yep.
Darnell's one of my friends. We go way, way back.
Yeah, that's my buddy. That's my buddy, man. And we go back. I mean, showcase now, we go back probably 2008. Yeah, I think that's probably might have been 2007. And I think it was 2007. But yeah, I do virtual concerts. I started with the release of my album Hero, which was back in May. That one did so well that I was like, I got a festival that I normally have in August every year in Asheville. So I know I wasn't going to be able to have it. And I said, let me see if I can do a virtual version of it, just something smaller. And of course, it didn't end up being small. It ended up being kind of bigger than what it should have been. I had 5 artists. I had Eric Duncan, my brother, Marcel Anderson, Showcase, Brad Keaton, A-Love's incredible bass player. And then with a special guest on my portion of it with Kenny Lattimore. and flew Kenny in, and he was so easy and cool and fun to work with and to hang out with again, man. We met some years ago and we just stayed in touch. And I just called him. I said, hey, man, I'm doing something. If you ain't busy, man, I'll fly you to North Carolina and we're going to have some fun and record music. And man, we worked it out and we had fun. So now, since that went so well, I'm going to continue on doing at least 2 or 3 more of those before the end of the year, because we don't charge. We make it free. People want to donate. We put up donation links.
Mm-hmm.
And, typically the donation links help pay for like the productions and the concerts. I'm taking my own money and putting it into it. And hopefully, like people will continue to give to where we can continue doing these. As long as they give and it balances out and it breaks even, I'm cool. I'm cool. I'm gonna be okay with that, because I want people to like still have music to carry them through this, this pandemic, however long it's gonna be. So
right. Have you been approached to do any of the drive-in concerts?
I have. I looked at one place in Henderson to possibly try to do. I'm still kind of on edge about that, because I don't want to seem like I'm insensitive with with COVID and stuff like that. So I'm very cautious and careful with certain events where there's going to be mass gatherings, because
Mm-hmm.
if anything happens, I don't want nobody blaming me and trying to sue me and get a little bit of money that I got. Remember,
Right.
I'm trying to build legacies. I don't want nobody suing me. But I do want to do, a driving concert. I do miss playing, in front of people. It's a little different doing virtual where there's no audience in front of you.
Yeah.
So that makes it a little difficult. So hopefully maybe one day I'll do one before it gets cold, and we'll see what happens.
You got another question from Edwin.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. As a musician, do you always have faith in your talent? Did you ever question your career path? Oh yeah. I question it a lot. But more so than having faith in my talent, having faith in a promise that God gave me. There was a promise that was said and spoken to me that I just believed in more than my talent. Because even now, I still don't feel like I'm as talented as the places that I've been. Even when I got the opportunity to play with Prince and Sheila E. and even my own solo career and to get nominated for Stellar Awards and all this other stuff, it's like, man, I know there are other musicians that probably are more qualified, but my purpose and my talent are like 2 different things. And along the path, you do get discouraged when you're trying to do things, because people look at you and they see leaps, but then when you're doing it, it feels like you're making baby steps.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
You can't really think about that, and you just got to keep pushing and keep moving forward no matter what. And sometimes those baby steps equal up to a mile, because how many times you've had a baby and a toddler, you sit them on the floor for a second, you turn your head and you look, they don't crawl across the room like, how'd you get over there that fast? So if you kind of look at your career and whatever you're trying to do that way, and remember that the promise that God gave you, and to stay consistent, I don't think you will be as discouraged, but just, believe in yourself too.
Absolutely. So as we begin to wrap up this conversation, I know we don't know when this pandemic may be over and when we get to some semblance of normalcy, but what are you looking forward to doing once outside safe to congregate?
I want to go to Disney World.
Okay, then. Mickey Mouse,
Yeah.
Minnie Mouse.
Yeah, I want to go.
I haven't been there forever myself. I would love to go back to Disney World too.
Yeah, I do a daddy-daughter trip with my girls every year. This year we chose New York over Disney, so we've done Disney World twice. We've done Universal Studios. This year they wanted to go to New York and see a Broadway musical, so we did a musical in New York, and we went shopping in Times Square, and that was really cool. And they flew on an airplane for the first time. But then they was like, Dad, can we go back to Universal Studios? So that was on the list to do this year, and now that's stuck in my head. I want to go. I want to have fun because they're older now, they're bigger. We can ride certain rides. I'm like, man, let's go and let's have a ball for 4 days.
All right, you got a fan. I believe that you played for Cassandra at BU a few
Mm-hmm.
years ago.
Yeah, Cassandra,
I
man,
saw that.
she was like one of my biggest supporters, before anybody even knew who Marcus was. she believed in me. She was one of the very first people to believe in me and pay me very well, I might add, for the events. And she actually, took me places too. I got to thank her for that, like giving me a chance and opportunity to use my passport. She's, always been a great supporter. Thank you. She'll always have a dear place in my heart, so whenever I see her and we at a show, she don't have to pay for tickets. She gets in free.
All right, so you got a +1. So Cassandra and I from the same hometown, went to the same high school, went to the same college.
Uh-huh.
We sorority sisters. We chapter sorority sisters. So yeah,
Oh yeah.
I had to be the first person to hear that.
Oh yeah. No, yes. Yeah, she's so cool.
Awesome. Well, your Instagram is scrolling at the bottom of the screen. If someone is interested in getting your latest project, Hero, how do they find that?
Yeah, so if they want a signed copy or like a poster or t-shirts and stuff, they can go to my website, marcusanderson.net. But most people nowadays, they try to stream. Streaming is cool, but it doesn't pay as much as you buying an actual physical album from Amazon or from my website. They can go on Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes, Pandora. All of my music is on every streaming platform. But if they want a signed personal copy from me, they can go to my website, marcusanderson.net, and I'll sign it and personalize it to them. And then, might even throw a little something extra in there. Who knows?
Nothing like a signed personal copy from the artist. I definitely agree.
Yeah.
Well, all right. And remind me again of the name of your restaurant, because I'm in North Carolina a lot, so I will get to Rocky Mount at some point. And the jerk rap just really piqued my interest.
Yeah, Trax Coffee Bar, TRAX Coffee Bar. And the website is traxcoffeebar.com. And our Instagram and Facebook is just Trax Coffee Bar. So you can be able to find them, all the same under that same name, TRAX. Yep.
Awesome. Well, Marcus, I'm glad we were finally able to connect. Thanks so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to hang out with us, and enjoy the rest of your evening.
No, thank you. I got to go do a live thing tonight with a friend. So I'm going to go and do that and hopefully get some sleep after that.
All right. Well, enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you again.
No, thank you, Angela. I appreciate you.
All right. That is it for this Tuesday edition of the Angela Ray Show. As always, I would like to remind you all of Ray of Motivation number 54. Cleaning a mirror does not change the person who is reflected in it. Until next time, I encourage you all to go out and be the change. Have a great evening.